Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Elodie from Elodie's Crafts and Creations. So today I'm gonna show you how to make this gorgeous journal, or the journal cover that I made for my 8 junk journals on an ocean look theme. And yeah, so what I'm gonna show you in this video is how to make the closure here, which is like a button, and then it's just a single bead, and then there's this link here, which is leather. I'm also going to show you how to attach this. Okay, so this has been changed. What I'm gonna show you in the video, it actually broke, which I'm really sad. So this is the final dangle, let's call it, but I'm gonna show you how to install it anyways. And you can see the full flip through online in one of my other videos. Okay, so let's just get started. So what I did is I used aluminium foil that I crunched up, and then I just glued to my cover. And I'm sorry I did not take a video. I didn't think this was gonna work. I was just playing around with stuff, but then I just loved what I did so much that I decided to videotape a little bit just to show you. So what I'm doing here is I'm using acrylics and I'm watering down the acrylics. I planned on using a spray, but I actually didn't have one. So I just thought I would try with a paintbrush and see what happens. And I'm using just simple acrylics, and some of my acrylics are iridescent. It doesn't show very much, but what I do like about this iridescent paint is that it changes color when it dries. It's very, very interesting. But yeah, I think any acrylics do, and it will work. Just do water it down quite a bit, because otherwise you will just put paint all over your metallic cover, and you won't get all the crests and all the interesting bits from the actual aluminium foil. And I've done several layers, so you just paint, let it dry. It will, well, for me it changed a little bit colors, so that was really interesting. And then you paint another layer, especially in the areas where there's not that much paint, and then you can use different colors. That's how I managed. So you can see I'm using a bit of green, blue, purples. I'm just trying to achieve a bit of a natural watery look, and I'm really, really happy with the results. So I do recommend this technique for anybody who likes to experiment stuff. And do let me know what you do. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell button every time you want to know what I'm up to. And also you can follow me on Instagram. That's where I put most of my pictures. Okay, so next. So this is the end, and I added this little triangle. It's like from artwork that you put up on the walls. And I'm gonna finish this soon, but I wanted to glue this book tag before I finish the book so that it wouldn't show the what are they called? I forgot the name. Anyways, moving on. Let's just do the closure. Okay, so I wanted to do something here. So you might have noticed that I made a mistake. GLAZ is a word in Breton, which means color of the sea. And I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful word. And I thought it would be absolutely perfect as a name for one of my journals. And I installed this book tag, I think it's called. Like, I glued it, sewed it, and then put it on my junk journal, and I noticed that there was a mistake. So instead of just putting it in the bin, because I've worked so hard for it. I've decided to install something on top. I've glued a little piece of cloth to hide my E at the end, and then I just want to put something like a dangly thing that I think would create an interest and would look really good. So what we're doing here is we've just made a little hole, and I'm gonna use a sequin to so a white sequin is probably best, but it won't show. It's just to make sure that it doesn't come off. So the sequin is flat, which means that it's going to secure a little bit my dangly thing at the front, and it's gonna make sure that it doesn't come off or anything. It's just much better. And then I'm just gonna make a little like a loop out of this metallic link thing. And then I'm gonna put, and then I'm just gonna attach what I thought I would attach to the link. And I'm just adding a little bead, again, just to like make this little loop visible first of all, and secure it, and make sure that the loop doesn't open, because I'm just gonna put the end of the loop inside the little bead so that it for sure doesn't open. Otherwise, you know, it's just floating and it could just break. So that's what I did. All right, next, let's just attach our dangly thing. So I've used this, it's from an old necklace that I'm not wearing anymore, and the problem is it actually broke. It's quite fragile. It was really pretty, I really liked it, but it broke in half, I think just from, you know, putting the other books over or something. I don't know how it broke, but so I decided to change it after, and since we have this loop, we can just do anything we want. So it's quite a cool trick. Okay, next let's do the closure. So for the closure, I wanted to put a bead and a link of leather, and I'm just trying to figure out which bead I should use. I was thinking something a bit inconspicuous, is that a word? That it doesn't show too much. I didn't want it to be too visible, and I did like this wooden beads that look a little bit, you know, from like floating wood. So yeah. I do have a lot of beads. It was quite hard to choose from. But yeah, I think the round one was definitely the best choice, because it's not too visible. It's quite, yeah, it looks amazing. All right. Decisions. Yeah, let's just do this. So the way we're going to do this, we're just going to make sure that the bead is exactly where we want it. Obviously, it's not going to be in the middle, because the middle would be too close to our book tab. So I'm just gonna put it over here, which looks pretty good to me, and about 1 centimeter from the edges of the book. Not too far, not too close. It really depends on your bead, so make sure you just put the bead and just check where you want to put the hole. And I'm using pretty strong. So this is just micro macrame thread. It's beaded cotton, I think. I have a bunch of these because I used to do macrame, and it's really, really good. It's like Brazilian bracelets and stuff, and it's really strong. So I'm using this because it's blue and it's pretty and it's shiny and it's very strong. And we're just gonna sew the bead. For the bead, I'm using this thread because it's quite a thick thread as well. When you sew into paper, you have to be really careful that it's not going to rip your paper. So this is cardboard, so it's fine. It's not gonna rip for sure, but I will ensure that by gluing everything together in the end and putting a bit of masking tape and just not pressing too hard either and making knots as I go. So let me just fast forward a little bit, and all I'm doing is I'm just going inside the bead and just sewing it to the book cover. And as I mentioned, let's just do a few knots as we go. And just keep on sewing until you're happy with the result. The bead has a thick hole, a wide hole, I guess, so I can go a few times and use a regular sewing needle, so that's good. I like things to be really secure. Alright, next let's just put a little bit of glue to secure our little, the bead. And then I'm using some masking tape on top to make it all flat, because the problem with knots is that you will see them if you stuck something on them. So I'm using masking tape and just trying to flatten all the knots and everything. I've made sure that the knots are not on top of each other, but really distributed along the line, so that it's not like bulky. Okay, next let's do the link. So what I'm doing here is I'm just checking where the middle is exactly where I should put the hole for the link. And this is a link with, so I can't actually use my crocodile because it's in the middle. So I'm just gonna have to do something else. Just checking where it should be and how long the length should be. I do recommend that you don't cut it so quickly, that you do the whole, that you attach everything and stuff before you cut it, so that you don't have the surprise of having too small a link. And now I'm just trying to go right in the middle of our thing here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a little piece of thread to just help bring the link through the cover. So I've made the hole a little bit bigger than just with my spiky item thing, and now I'm just pulling the link through like so. Oops. Okay, let's just do it again. Okay, this time it's the charm. Just gently pulling it through this time. There we go, removing the link, and now I'm gonna make the knot. So I just need to make sure that it's exactly the right length. That looks pretty good. And then I'm gonna make the knot. And this is why you should have cut it after, not before. Because now I can't, like if it's too long, I mean if it's too short, I just have to change it. Just making sure that everything is tight so it doesn't move. And that's a bit too short. So I'm just going to redo the knot a little closer to the edge, like the end of my link, like this. And that's perfect. All right, all done. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. This is the end of it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell button, and all these things. And thank you so much for being here with me. Bye, guys.